Now, as you know, on this channel, we talk a lot about the mainstream media's ridiculous bias sometimes. And I've always said that I'm absolutely fine if these mainstream outlets were open and honest with the public about their leanings. But they pretend to be professional and impartial, and then every now and then they show their true face. It's not necessarily leaning towards the left or right in that sense. What they have is this woke, politically correct, metropolitan liberal intellectual kind of leaning, which is kind of annoying sometimes, and it's very out of touch with the public. This morning we had an example on Sky News. On the one hand, we had Matt Hancock, the health secretary. Now, Matt Hancock is not someone I necessarily agree with everything that he says or does, because I don't, from my perspective, he's not a sound conservative, but he's a good man and he works hard, and he's pretty good at having comebacks when he's facing these broadcasters, especially Robert Peston, during the daily briefings. And on the other side, we have Sophie Ridge from Sky News. Now, Sophie Ridge is actually somebody I generally like and respect. She's normally good. But this morning, she went with the line of questioning, which was very, not just, it was primarily focused on identity politics on a whole new level. So I'm going to show you the clip of the question she asked, and then talk about Matt Hancock's response.
How many black people are in the current cabinet?
There's a whole series of people from a black and minority ethnic background. The Chancellor of the Exchequer, the Home Secretary, to name but two.
I'm just talking about blacks. Sorry, I'm talking about black people specifically, because I do think it's quite important not to.
Right, the end, that's the whole point. And so what she says here, Matt Hancock is going to have a comeback in a second. But the problem is this about diversity and, equality or whatever? If that's the case, then Matt Hancock's answer was fine. There are a lot of non-white cabinet ministers. You got Priti Patel, you got Rishi Sunak, you've had James Cleverly, and a number of others, Kwasi. But she's specifically going after a specific type of non-white people. This is very, very bad. And this is exactly what Martin Luther King Jr. didn't want when he said, I wish we would get to a point where people don't judge others based on the skin color, but based on the character. But Matt Hancock gave a very, very anti-woke answer, which is exactly what I wanted from him. So let's watch this bit.
Well, I think that Boris Johnson has got a very good record on this, and it brings people in and listens to a diversity of views, and it's diversity of thought that's the really important thing when you're taking those big decisions around the cabinet table.
So actually, are you saying then that people from black backgrounds shouldn't really worry that there isn't a single person from a black background at the current cabinet table because you have diversity of thought?
Right. So firstly, I don't know if you noticed at the end, this was a very, very Cathy Newman style of questioning. He said, he's absolutely right, by the way. He talked about how diversity of thoughts and ideas, that's what matters. That's what counts, because firstly, you can't just think that every single person from a specific background, like, white people or ginger or whatever, all think the same. So all you have to do is just find one ginger, one white, one that, and that doesn't work because people have different ideas. But then he said that, which is a fair answer, and she came back with, again, like Kath Newman, saying, "So what you're trying to say is," I'm like, it's typical mainstream media. They don't even listen to answers, and again, she woke up, she had her morning meeting with her producers, and they actually. This is what they do. They think about how they could make the show more interesting and get these ministers to say something controversial to get their ratings up. It's disgusting, guys. And speaking of ratings, we have people like Piers Morgan who's always obsessed with this. He's not necessarily right-wing or left-wing in that sense, but he's just controversial for the sake of it. And it's really bad. And I've challenged him. I invited him to come on my show. He doesn't obviously care because he doesn't really think of this channel as a meaningful thing. I don't even actually tweet at him. I mention him when I tweet. I don't actually tag him because I don't want to annoy people in that sense. But this is what we discovered yesterday. I'm blocked. Yeah, very mature peers. I don't understand what the mentality was behind this move, but it's a bit of a coward. If I were like harassing him or keep tagging him in things, then I would understand. But I wasn't even talking to him on Twitter in that sense. But yeah, he decided to. He started the Twitter exchange with me, the Twitter row that we had. I didn't tag him first. But everything is happening right now with the movement on the streets, and right now outside the American embassy, there's a bit of a clash right now. These are the people on the left who say we have to learn from history in order to understand the issues that we face on a societal and cultural level, with prejudice and everything. Also, the same people on the left today have been bringing down statues, historic statues, to rewrite history and not learn from history. I mean, you get the hypocrisy, right? It's not just me. And this is London. And actually, sorry, this is Bristol, but there are also these marches happening in London as well. And they are, in Westminster, they're targeting Winston Churchill's statue. Because why not? And the problem I have with this is that what these idiots want, they are attention seekers. And it's a tiny minority. It's not like, the country is now been in their control, it's been dominated by this movement. No, don't worry. Because I've seen a lot of people on the right who are overreacting to this. And this is exactly what these idiots want. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying, bring in the army, or where is Boris Johnson? Where is the government? And we're like, this is exactly what they want. They want to provoke you. They want to get the attention, and the more aggression you show towards them, then the more they're going to continue, and things are going to get worse. So what we have to do is obviously have a robust response, and the police have kind of failed. They've been very weak because their strategy, tactic was to just contain the situation. And I understand, but I still believe that when you're doing things like this, every single one of them needs to be arrested. So I still believe there needs to be some robust response. Absolutely. I'm just saying that we don't necessarily need to show a right-wing version of virtue signaling by coming out, getting Boris Johnson or Priti Patel to make a public speech or something. That's exactly what they want. As long as the police do their job properly, and I'm very concerned about this because the head of Met is not really competent. Sadiq Khan as mayor is his job. I don't know where he is because Sadiq Khan obviously he doesn't have a good track record in London. We know that, and we were supposed to have an election last month on the 7th of May, I believe. That's been postponed until next year. And we do have Sean Bailey, the Conservative candidate, who hasn't been great because, as I said, the election was supposed to be last month and hardly anybody in London knows who Sean Bailey is. This is not good. And there's also been a lot of jokes and suggestions on Twitter for me to stand as Mayor of London because it will be Mayor Maya. But there has been a lot of discussions about this because I grew up in London on a council estate in Lewisham, and I am getting sick and tired of tribalism. But I can't really answer this question just yet. All I can say is to Sadiq Khan, if he thinks that all this can last, there is a storm coming, Mr. Khan. And that's all I can say at this point. I'm not making any more announcements or promises. But there is a storm coming. We have a year until the next elections in London, and I do believe London deserves better. I believe London deserves to become less tribal, less party political. These partisan, whether it's left, right, red, blue, purple, yellow, all the other colours that we have, it shouldn't be based on that because these candidates can't be themselves. We need an independent individual who's open-minded, who listens to the concerns of Londoners and isn't concerned with, again, partisan issues or tribalism just because, what their team would say. We just have to go with what the real issues are. And as I said, we have a year until the election, and we might have someone independently to stand to raise the issues. And I understand that, there are a lot of people in London who are sick and tired of this tribal mentality. So never say never. That's all I'm going to say at this point. I'm not going to make any suggestions. I have a feeling I know exactly what's going to happen in the comment section. But I do want to say a massive thank you for all the support that you guys have been giving me, and especially for the future, if something happens. We have a long way to go. But again, if you're new to the channel and you enjoy the content, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support the channel, you could become a member. The link is in the description. You can find that address on the screen. And follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you want to. And the members of the channel, go on the community page around 9 o'clock tonight. I'm going to post the community post so that you guys could submit your questions so I could answer in tomorrow's video. And apart from that, that's it. Have a great Sunday evening, or if you're watching it on Monday, have a good Monday. I'm Tousi. I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video.